Hey guys, welcome to episode 1 of the Seasonal 7 series, 2021 Summer Solstice Edition. This is where I post 7 videos in 7 days themed around the equinox or solstice. In this case, it's a summer solstice. We're starting late. I should have started it yesterday, and I didn't. This video is probably also going to go up late on the day it's already late. But it's all going to work out. I've got a plan. It's going to be fine. But onward to the video we go. Since this is the first video in this series, I think it's really important that I go ahead and go over what is the solstice, right? What is the summer solstice? What is it energetically? How's it lead into your life? And how are we going to use that energy for shadow work, right? So, the summer solstice is the day with the most amount of daylight. It is when we have the most hours of daylight. It's also when, at this point, each day up to the solstice, the days have gotten a little bit longer. And this is the longest day. Every day after this, the days will begin to get a little bit shorter until the winter solstice. And on the equinoxes is when they're even, right? Okay, so in this particular year, if you're watching this in 2021, then in this particular year, the solstice is also taking place in the middle of 3 eclipses, a Mercury retrograde, and I think Saturn squared Uranus. It's a lot, man. It's a lot. If there was a time to dig into your shadow work, I think it's now. If you think about shadow work, it's what lies in your shadow. And what is the summer solstice? The day with the most light. You can use this energy to shine light into your own shadows. What are eclipses? Eclipses are when we dig into our shadows, right? So this is really a perfect time to get deep into our subconscious and be able to bring out and weed out our garden. The summer solstice is also about summer. It's the beginning of summer. And what is summer? The season of summer is rapid growth. It's you planted your seeds in the spring, and during the summer, it's when all the stalks and the crops shoot up and they grow very rapidly. It's rapid growth. It's quick ascension. It's also a time of love and play and freedom. And when you go and you enjoy, you're supposed to go out and be active. It's a proactive season. It's the winter solstice is more about hibernating and going within, but the summer solstice is more about getting out, go out, take action. It's the sun energy. It's growth, it's light, it's play, and it's activity. Like this is where you work, you put the work in, you go out, you do shit, right? So with these themes in mind, I have put together a few questions. If you're new here, my preferred form of shadow work is journaling questions. So that's what I have. I have questions for you today to ask yourself, to set aside, do your journaling. I also have a video on how I journal, and I'll link that above and below if you're interested. I also have shadow work intro videos if you're new, and I'll link that above and below if you're interested. I have a whole series on shadow work. This is going to go on to the series. But for this particular season, I would say the week before or week after the solstice, sit down with your journal and ask yourself some of these questions. Because the summer solstice in the summer is about play and freedom, we're going to kind of focus on that. So the first question is, what brings you the most joy, or what makes you happy? Okay, I want you to explore that first. This is also a good time to ask yourself, why does that make you happy? Dive into what about that, what is it that you receive from doing that activity? What is it that it feeds for you when you do that? And then you're going to ask yourself, do you do it enough? And why or why not? If you're not doing the thing that makes you happy and brings you joy, or things, it can be plural, why not? What is your excuse? Okay? You probably have an excuse. I'm too busy, I don't have time, I can't afford it. Right? Cool. The thing about excuses is they're just excuses. And there's always a way. So I want you to dive into that deeper. If you're not doing the thing that makes you happy often enough, then dive into really why. Why are you using the excuses? What is it that you're afraid of? Because there's a good chance there's a fear underneath there. Maybe you don't feel, maybe it's an artistic expression and you don't think you're good enough. Or maybe it's something that, maybe it's like travel, right? And you say you don't have money or time, but in actuality, the act of leaving your comfort zone frightens you. Do you know what I mean? go ahead and dig into why you don't do the thing. If you don't do it. Some people are like, I do the thing that makes me happy all the fucking time. Cool. Good for you. Crushing it. Excellent work. If you're not though, why not? And really dig into that. The other kind of two options I have are, do you believe you can be happy? Right? This is a heavy one because I don't like to make generalizations, but I do think that for the most part, most people are rarely ever truly happy. And I think that for the most part, most people don't even think it's possible. And the question is why? Why don't you think you can be happy? First of all, do you believe you can be? Dig into that. If you believe you can be, cool. Excellent work. If you're like, no, because the world is shit, or whatever the thing is, dig into that, because the thing about happiness is it's solely your responsibility and you're completely in control of it. Happiness comes from your reactivity, right? It doesn't really matter what happens. What creates your inner peace and happiness is how you react to it. If you get upset and you freak out when something goes wrong, then that's you hindering your own happiness. This is about self-responsibility. You are responsible for your own happiness. The next question is, do you want to be happy? And this one is a hard one because most people will say, yeah, of course I want to be happy. But I don't think that's true. I don't think it's true at all. We have groomed a society in which victimhood and victim mindset is become normalized, and it's addictive. When we attach ourselves to our traumas and we attach ourselves to our victimhood and what's happened to us, it becomes a core part of our identity. It becomes what our ego feeds off of. It also makes us special. It's, you can't understand what I've been through is a thing that people often say to other people. You couldn't understand. Nobody understands my pain. So when I ask you, do you want to be happy? Most people will say yes, but if you dig into it, a lot of people are deeply attached to their victimhood. They're attached to their traumas and they're attached to their triggers because that's who they are. This is just how I am. So during this summer solstice, I think it would be well advised for people to take a minute to ask yourself about your victimhood. What things do you feel like you're a victim of? And how can you work on that? And are you sure you want to be happy? Because if you don't actually want to be happy, I'll give another example. I know somebody who is just a gossip queen. She doesn't know how to do anything but complain. It's literally all she does. She just complains and complains, complains and complains. Almost nothing positive or optimistic comes out of her mouth ever. I don't think she ever wants to be happy because I don't think she knows what else to say. She gossips about other people, she judges other people, she complains about everything that happens to her, every inconvenience, every traffic delay, and the smallest of inconveniences and remarks of people. It's what she talks about. She doesn't know what else to talk about. That is who she is. I don't think she wants to be happy because I don't think she knows who the fuck she would be without all the misery. And I think a lot of people are like that. It doesn't take much. If you go through a grocery store and you just start wandering around, you will hear people bitching and moaning and complaining. And if you talk to people about their lives, most people are very happy. And you can literally hit the comment section of a lot of my videos to notice it. Most people are very happy to declare themselves incredibly traumatized. Most people, in my experience, this is subjective, but most people do this kind of trauma bragging where they're like, I've been through so much shit. And I know that I do this sometimes, and I'm always so hesitant to do it when I make videos to be like, hey, I want you guys to know healing's possible. I've been through a lot, and I have been through a lot, but I try really hard not to trauma brag. I try really hard. It's something that I used to do a lot. And I used to believe wholeheartedly that most people couldn't understand what I've been through because I have been through a lot. But eventually I've come to realize that everyone has their own war stories going on, and trauma bragging was just my way of making myself special. Because in my mind, it's what made me me. I just been through so much. And I think a lot of people are like that too still, where, you know, they'll say, my childhood was absolutely fucking terrible. I've been through so much shit, da 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 da. That victim mindset is addictive, and it becomes our identity, and our ego feeds on it. And I think that this summer solstice is a really good time to dive into these really heavy shadows, because it's the time of the year that we have the most light. So you're gonna need a lot of light on that one. These are not easy to dig up. These are triggering to even talk about. I fully expect to have people in my comment section mad as fuck about what I'm saying right now. Because there's a lot of defense about victimhood. You know, people will say, you can't expect a victim to forgive. That's not fair. But I will say, point blank, with no problems, that forgiveness is the only true way to heal. Love is always the answer. Understanding and having compassion for what's happened to you is always going to be the answer. There's going to be a lot of people in my comment section telling me how fucking wrong I am and how I don't understand. It's always going to be you don't understand. This is a really good time to dig into your desire to be happy. Do you want to be happy and free? Free is another one. I'm not going to go on a whole tangent about that. I feel like freedom is something that you learn about after you desire to be happy. So we'll maybe save that one for later. But for those of you who have kind of already done the victimness shadow work and you're looking for something a little deeper, then go into freedom. What does it mean to be free? Do you believe you can be free? And do you know what freedom is? Because I feel like freedom is the ultimate goal. I think in my mind, for those on a spiritual path, freedom is the end goal. And it's very difficult to get there. I'm still working on it, but I'm getting a lot closer. And freedom is just your ability to live your life the way you want to live it. Can you live your life the way you want to live it? Why not? And how can you change that? Do you feel powerless? Dig into that. So, I know this is not as formalized as my shadow work videos usually are. I usually have like a list of questions and then I'll talk about each one, but Mercury's retrograde. What do you want from me? I'm trying to make a seasonal 7 series after I just went to 3 ayahuasca ceremonies and flew to California, and now it's eclipse season and Mercury's retrograde and Saturn's squaring Uranus, and you know what? I need a nap, but we're gonna do this. And I'm starting with dig into your desire to be happy, and also if you're doing the things that make you happy. Happiness, that's the theme for the summer. Be happy, do work. I know I oftentimes ask for questions out of curiosity. I have another one. I am curious to know how many people, I know my shadow work videos are fairly popular. My tarot content is the most popular, but my shadow videos are kind of secondary. And I'm curious to know how many people who are watching and using these prompts are also in therapy. I know it's a very sensitive topic, so don't tell me if you don't want to, legit. But if you are comfortable, I'm just curious to know if you are, and if you're not, why or why not. Do you take these questions to your therapist? Have you considered taking these questions to your therapist? I'm just kind of curious to know if anybody's getting professional guidance throughout this process or not. So let me know in the comment section below, and also if you appreciate this content, it super helps a lot if you can like, subscribe, leave comments, interact with it in some way that helps me grow the channel. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Happy almost summer solstice.